Hi, this is Beverly Cole, and today we're going to make two cards with some digital stamping, and I'm going to show you some tricks and techniques. We're going to use the Little Garden Cottage set by Jan Mayhew for Sparkle and Sprinkle. This is my computer screen, and here I'm going to show you a little bit about how to work with digital images. This is the Marble Magic digital paper set, and I just go to the file where I have it saved and choose the one I want to use. This is the muted teal background paper. These were actually acrylic pours that I turned into a set of papers. Now here I am shortening the image. I'm not cropping it, but I'm just pulling it up and condensing it into a size that I want. My card's going to be about 3.5 inches by 7.5. Now here I'm going into Jan Mayhew's set, Little Garden Cottage, the digital set, and choosing the cottage and choosing the snail. Excuse me, getting the cards confused again. So here's the big snail, and we're going to make him 3¼ inches, and I'm holding my shift key so that he doesn't change shape. He doesn't get longer and skinnier or fatter if I hold down my shift key. Your program may be different. The program I'm using is called Open Office, and it's a free program. I like to move him up to the corner where I can measure him by the numbers at the top and side, but then I realized later I didn't really have to do this because there's a grid on the paper. So like I said, holding down the shift key in this program will help me keep the shape of my snail. If I didn't hold down the shift key, he could change shape. I'm only changing size. So that's our big snail, and now I copied and pasted by saying Control-C, Control-V, and then I had a copy of my snail. So now by holding down my shift key again, he'll stay this right shape. He won't get skinnier or fatter or taller, he'll just get smaller. Hold down my shift key. And now I'm measuring him again, and he needs to be 1½ inches. So once I have him sized, by looking at those grid lines, I will just wait till I have that little crosshatch on my snail. Grab the image itself. You have to put the little crosshatch on the image to move it. You'll see, here we move him behind his papa or mama. And now I'm going to do Control-C, Control-V again and make a copy of him. And move that one behind him. So here I have my snails, and now I'm looking for a sentiment from that same set. And to open this, I went to where it says Insert at the top, and then you push Picture from File. So again, Shift key is held down. I can make this smaller or larger. And these are PNG images. You'll notice that when I move these over each other, there's no white block around them. There's no background. So that's what the PNG is. It has no white background. It has a clear background. So I put my sentiment where I want it, and now I'll run this through my printer. And here I've cut my images apart, and I'm working on a belly band for my card where I want some of the band, but I don't want to cut away my snails. I want the band to go around them. So I'm measuring to see how much space I want to leave. Here I want to leave 1/4 inch. So I'm going to turn over my card, and I'm going to measure 1/4 inch using the lines on my mat, and then I'm going to measure that and cut it away with this technique. Now, if you don't mind erasing, you could just do this on the front of the card and you could erase. But I like to do it this way. I can see the images through my cardstock if I hold it up to my craft light, or if you have a light box, that's even better. And I'm making little marks with a pencil where my images begin and end. Now I'm just cutting to those little dots from the edge of the paper to the lines. And you'll see when I turn this over that I'll know exactly where to cut. I'm going to cut just around my images now between those cut lines. And that little piece will fall out, and I'll move to the next space between two cut lines and cut that one out. Same thing here to the next cut line. Now I noticed that, I didn't make enough dots around my little, I did make the dots, but I didn't make the cut lines around the snail's what are those called? Antenna? Something like that. So I'm carefully cutting around those little edges and images. And remember to look at the white area instead of the black line so that you only cut away the white and leave the black. It really does help to look at the white space instead of trying to watch that black line. That black line will fool you. You'll end up cutting some of it away if you watch the line. So here I'm doing the straight lines, just cutting, and I'm noticing, oh, these little scissors aren't really the best thing to be using for this long cutting. So I switched to my titanium 9-inch shears. They are so great. I should have used them for that longer space, but here, they just have long blades, so it helps you to cut a nice straight line. And there's our part of our belly band. And now I'm showing you here, I've already used some Caribbean embossing powder, but I'm using Versamark ink here with a texture brush that we sell at Sparkle and Sprinkle, and I'm using some Sandstone embossing powder because I want it to look like they're traveling along in the sand, and I even left some on them just to look like they're kind of kicking it up with their slimy bottoms. So I sprinkle the embossing powder. By using that texture sponge, I don't get solid embossing powder. I just get a spongy, light coating of the embossing powder. And now I'm going to redo the top because I noticed I really didn't do enough of the Caribbean embossing powder on the top, which will represent a little bit of the sky. So here is the Caribbean embossing powder, and I really like this one because it has some lighter colors in it. So it kind of goes with the sandstone. It's a mixture of blues. It's not solid, and neither is the sandstone, so it goes together really well. Heat set that. Such a fun little scene. That little garden cottage has some cute images. Love it. And it goes great with the Leprechaun digital set, which would be great for this time of year. So make sure you look at that at our store. Okay, now we're going to use some VersaFine Clair in Warm Breeze, again with the texture brush, and I'm just giving it a light speckling of the ink. Don't have to touch very much. These are really juicy ink pads. And this is just another way to show you how you can get a speckled look. By using VersaFine and clear embossing powder, this whole image, wherever there's speckles, will be embossed the nice shiny clear coating. So all those little dots of ink, because they are embossable inks, are clear now. So now I'm looking at a belly band here that I cut, which is 1.5 inches wide and 7.5 inches long. And I'm using some 1/4 inch Tear-ific tape along both edges, because I want to add some glitter. Our tape is very sticky and perfect with our glitter. Comes in a wide variety of sizes. So I'm just trimming off the ends. And I thought, you know, a really good color to go along with these snails would be something like flesh. Our flesh glitter is beautiful. It's opaque, so it's going to give a really great coverage on this tape. Just use my finger tool and my glitter brush. Try not to touch the stickiness, although sometimes I just touch it anyway, even though I know better. By touching it, it just makes it not as sticky, but it's pretty sticky, so I wouldn't worry about it not holding the glitter, even if you do touch it with your finger a bit. And that glitter brush is super good for cleaning off my glass mat or any surface you're working on. It's anti-staticky. So now I'm going to attach my little family of snails, and I'm going to use some Tear-ific tape. I use 1/4 inch and then some scraps that I had of 1/2 inch. I like to use those scraps up. And here's my background. Now remember, we didn't crop that paper. We just made it smaller without holding down the shift key. So all of it just went up into a different shape. Now I'm using some more Versamark ink on the edges of my sentiment. And I'm using Midnight Madness, which you know is my favorite embossing powder of all. Somehow it sneaks onto almost everything I make. And I'm using a little tiny brush just because I was a little sloppy. If I had been more careful and just stuck the edges in without making it go all over the front, it would have been neater. But I did clean up my mess. So he's setting that. This will help it stand out from the background just a bit. Now I'm going to use some shimmery Aqua Shimmer glitter glass pen, and I'm only adding it to certain areas, although you could coat the entire background, which I have done on a previous card. And this will just make those little areas have a little hint of shimmer, which just looks so great with the rest of this card. It's very subtle. It's very pretty. And now, our family and our sentiment. And here you'll see me trying to figure out where I want to put that sentiment. Here, tuck it behind there. I don't know. That's a little heavy on that end. Behind here? No, I don't know. Oh, I know where I'm going to put it. So again, you guessed it, Tear-ific tape. Just press it in place and add my sentiment right there. Now, I want this to pop off the surface a bit, so I'm going to use some of those foam pads. And these are super large, so you only need a couple to really make your sentiment not get squished in the mail. And then trim off the excess, and there you go. There's our card. That's card number 1. Wait, one more thing. I am going to add some dimensional glue, which gives a nice, clear, raised surface when you use it. Now I'm noticing that my glue is not wanting to come out too well. The trick to that is to take the top off the bottle. Don't try to stick something in the top, because then you're just pushing whatever's stuck in there into the glue. But take something long like a paper piercer and push it through, and there you go. That'll do it. I'm just cleaning off my paper piercer. And now it should work better. There we go. So I'm filling in just the lighter area of the snail, the highlighted colored area that Jan Mayhew did such a great job coloring these. If you prefer to color them yourself, of course the digital images also come in black and white. I love digis because you can make them smaller and larger, just like we did here. Isn't that fun? Now when this dries, this will be clear as crystal. Let's put that aside to dry. It takes a bit. And this is a card I did previously where I used the Aqua Shimmer glitter gloss pen on the entire background and used a bonus sentiment from the Welcome Spring digital stamp set. Now here's card 2. Again at my computer, holding my shift key, I can make this cottage bigger and smaller, keeping it in shape. And now I'm going to choose, looks like I'm choosing the sentiment. And here you can grab the corners, make it smaller. Make sure you use your shift key if you're using this program. Yours may be different. And now another image. I'm going into my Marble Magic paper pack. This paper is called River Meadow. It looks like a river running through a meadow, doesn't it? I love this image. What surprised me on this card was when I layered it, it looked like grass and a river. I just loved it with this card. Again, making my cottage the size I want it, and because these are PNG images, they have no background, so they layer beautifully without any problem at all. Now what am I getting? Let's see. How about mushrooms? PNG mushrooms, no background. Hold the button and shift. Hold the shift key, and make them the size you want. Sorry about that. And you can play around with them, move them where you want them. And you can move them later too, just like I'm moving this cottage again. Now my mushrooms are in front of my cottage, so I'm going to the Arrange button. And when you right click on Arrange, it'll tell you send them backwards, bring them forward. So I was able to send my mushrooms backwards behind my little cottage. Oops, look at this. Do you see what's wrong? Yep, that's a JPEG. It has a white background. Sorry about that. Let's make sure we get the PNG image. There, that's better. Shift it down to the size I want. And I'm going to click again on my block, and it changes the outline of my block so that I can rotate the little snail and make him climb the house. Then I copied and pasted him, and I can make him a different size. I can rotate him back to walking on flat ground, and there he is. So working with digital images is much easier when it comes to, moving images around. Once you stamp something and cut it out, that's the only way you're going to be able to move it around. And look at this card, how cute it turned out. Isn't it cute? And so colorful. So I cut the card out, and now I'm using my Quickie Glue pen to add some glitter. Now, this card might look different to you than the one I was working on in the computer, and that's because it is a different card. When I did the computer and part of my taping for this card, my camera was way off on the side, and it wasn't a good direct picture for you to see, so I redid that part of my video. So sorry if the card has confused you. You're not going crazy. It really is a different card. Now, I'm using some Autumn Spice microfine glitter over the Quickie Glue pen. And I like this because the color is subtle. And the Quickie Glue pen gives a nice fine line for you to add the glitter to. It's not bulky line. It's not going to jump off the page at you. It just looks really subtle and really pretty. Now this Quickie Glue pen area that I'm doing, I'm going to use more of this Autumn Spice, but then I'm going to use a different color on the snails to go with that fleshy look, that pinky fleshy look that they have. I decided to use some rose gold. And so I did the same technique, using it on lighter areas of the building and on the snails. And you just dump it on and tap it off and then brush off the remaining, and you're done with that color. So here I'm adding the glue, and then I will add the rose gold glitter. And here has been added. Then I decided I wanted to add some kind of soft mossy looking area. So I took my Quickie glue pen and I filled in the brown area, which I think is really a shadow, but I decided I want it to look mossy. Why not? So I filled it in with my Quickie glue pen, and I think I would have gotten better coverage. You'll see me check my pen. I think my pen was empty at this point. I got a little bit of glue, but you'll get the idea. Now I'm going to take some dark chocolate floss and dump it on there and rub it in with my finger. And the more you rub this, the smoother it gets. When you do yours, make sure you have glue in your pen, please. Yours will look much flossier than mine. Now for the tag on the card, I decided to use our Mix Edge Diamond Layering Set. This is a really cute set, and it goes so well with this pointy little roof. I just wanted to repeat the shape. That's something that you like to do in art, is repeat patterns, repeat colors, repeat shapes. There, that's really going to look cute. So I'm using some, I should have used that one. I decided to go with just a cream color background. That was more of a tan color. I think it would have looked really cute, but that's okay. This will look great too. it'll pick up the lighter part of the snails. I couldn't decide which sentiment I liked better. I'm using the same frame as the outside frame. Oh, it's going to be cute. Which I die cut in brown cardstock. And now I'm going to die cut the two sentiments that I chose because I couldn't make up my mind. They're just such adorable sentiments with this set. And now I'll have two die cuts, and I still have to make a decision. Which one? At the bottom of the card, it says, "My cottage is your cottage." I decided to go with "A little cottage is always very snug," which is actually a quote Jane Austen wrote in the book and movie Sense and Sensibility, when the girls and their mom are sent off to a little cottage to live. And now I'm using some deluxe adhesive around the edges of the frame because this is a very sticky glue with a nice precision ball point. Very sticky, and it'll hold that sentiment quite well. So cute. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I love it. Okay. A little cottage is always very snug. Now, I want it to be a tag. It's not going to be a free hanging tag because I'm going to secure it so it doesn't get in the way. You could just have it dangling if you wanted to, but I tend to like to secure things on my cards. So now I'm using more Quickie glue, and I did go get another pen. And I used some Mocha microfine glitter. But one thing I'm going to show you, I didn't wait for that glue to dry. And I should have just tapped it off, but instead I burnished it into wet glue. And you're going to see that that wet glue moved, and it made some blotches. And no matter how hard I try to rub them, they're not coming off. And I worked so hard on this little tag, so I got my adhesive pickup square, and I rubbed it around the inside of the glitter line on the cream-colored cardstock, and it came off. So now all I have to do is replace the glitter line around the edge, which is a lot easier than recutting all those pieces and reprinting that sentiment and doing the whole thing over again. So remember, if you get glitter and glue where you don't want it, try using your adhesive pickup square. Now I'm attaching the card to, you guessed it, 1/4 inch Tear-ific tape. Now I'm taking a piece of baker's twine. I love baker's twine, and I love black and white, so you will see me use that quite often. Either ribbon or baker's twine. I love black and white, and I love to wear black and white. It goes great with my hair. And my glasses are actually black and white, so I guess I really do like black and white. So I'm punching a hole, and before I punch the hole, you'll notice that I put a little pencil mark because I always make my holes crooked. And I like my little punch. I'm not really into that big tool that cuts all different size holes. It's just a little bit too big for my taste, so everyone's different. Now I'm attempting to put there we go, that twine through my tag. And now that piece of tape in the back, that's just to hold the tag until I'm done. I mean the twine, sorry. Now I always do this. I make a T and tighten it as much as I can, even making the card curl up a bit to make my knot. We'll remove the tape. And now I use a little piece of that 1/4 inch tape. And my tape is easy to reach and cut straight because I have a tape dispenser, which is very handy. Holds 3 different sizes for me. You can fit more or less than that depending on what widths you have. Now I tightened my knot. It's still able to be tightened. And now that tag will help to hold the twine in place instead of the twine holding the tag in place. And there's our card. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these cards. Be sure to hit the bell so you don't miss a video. Have fun and happy St. Patrick's Day.